Today I want to talk about Siegfried, and like, this is kind of a Siegfried, Taki, and Sophistia's story all in one, because the three of them travel together in the first game, and they all have a common goal. But I like Siegfried's story because it's really fucked up. It's kind of dark, and like, Siegfried was a rich boy of like his father was the king, and he was very spoiled, and he was very cocky. Like he thought he was really good at fighting, and one of his leisure activities was just to pick on random travelers. And he was really mean about it. Like, he had this band of like bandits of sort. Like they did like bandit kind of activities. Like, they would just ambush like random travelers at night with him and his friends. And because he really liked battle. And that's how he honed his skills. And he often didn't kill the travelers, he just scared the hell out of them and like wound them a little bit. But one day he was feeling especially mean, and he wanted to push it a little further. And he wanted to kill the next traveler and show it off to his friends. And his friends were a little worried about this, like, you sure? Like, he's like, yeah, nobody's gonna find out. I'm the king's fucking son. What are they gonna do? And like, and and at night, a, a lone traveler was passing by, but he was in a hurry. Like, he was riding his horse really fast. And Siegfried was like, watch this, boys. And like, he rode his horse towards him. And the traveler was completely unprepared for this, like, because he came out of nowhere. And Siegfried cut his freaking head off. Then he picked up the head and he brought it back to his friends to show it off. And all of his friends, like, looked in fear and ran away. And Siegfried was like, what? And like, he looked at the head, and it was his father. He accidentally killed his father. Like, his father was in a hurry back home for whatever reason. And like, so he killed his own father and he ran away. He ran away and he never came back home. And he started wandering around aimlessly. And he ended up going to several different countries, like, and like, he had no particular like goal or anything. He was just a wanderer. And he eventually found his way to Greece, where Sophitia was at. And Sophitia is she's a chosen warrior from the gods. Like, the gods came down and talked to her, and they told her about Soul Edge, which is an evil sword that must be destroyed. And Taki is a demon hunter. Taki is a demon hunter from Japan, and she's one of the best in the field. Like, she might even be the best. And she's taken on several demons before. Like, she's not afraid of this. And so Sophitia and Taki are one of the few people in the whole world that actually knows that Soul Edge is evil. And Taki just straight up sensed it. Like, nobody told her anything. She just straight up sensed it. She was like, there's some evil thing out there and I gotta destroy it. I don't know what it is, but it's quite evil. So she went out to search for the sword. Meanwhile, Siegfried passes out. Like, he was just broke and hungry, and he just eventually passes out somewhere in Greece. And she gets found by Sophitia. And Sophitia saved him, brought him back home, fed him and stuff. And Siegfried was just a really, like, he was sort of crazy. And kind of like the hospital, he wasn't like friendly to Sophitia at first. He was just kind of like, you know, where am I? Like, what is this? And Sophitia was like, you know, you passed out and I saved you. And Siegfried was like, he wanted to go. He just immediately wanted to go. He's like, oh, I gotta get going now. And she's just like, and she goes, you're not quite ready. You have a lot of recovering to do. And he's just like, I'll be fine. And she insisted that he stayed. And he was like, I said I'll be fine. And they ended up having a fight. And Sophitia was like, if I win, you have to stay. And they have a fight. And they both ended up respecting each other's skill. And Sophitia was like, damn, you're actually quite the warrior. I could use somebody like you for my journey. Like, I'm about to go on a quest to destroy a certain evil sword. Will you join me? And Siegfried didn't really have anything going on, so he was just kind of like, yeah, sure. And during their travels, they happened to meet with Taki. Like, Taki met them, and they also had a battle, and they realized they had a common goal, and the three of them started traveling together. And they knew who had the sword. And so they the owner of the sword was Cervantes, a pirate, a dangerous wanted criminal who just can't be caught because he's just so damn good at fighting. And he had two swords, like, so he had a version of Soul Edge that was two swords. And the three of them fought him at once because he was just that powerful. Like, he's so damn good, the three of them had to take him on to take him down. And after they won, Taki and Sophitia destroyed one of the swords. But the other sword called to Siegfried. The sword is a living being. And like, it has the ability to like talk to people in their head. And like, it talked to Siegfried. The sword knew that Siegfried was a troubled man who had a dark past, and it appealed to it. So the sword called to him, and Siegfried could not resist the call. The sword is like that. Like, it was just kind of like, will lure you. And if you got a weak mind, it will easily take you over. And Siegfried had a weak mind. He was a very troubled soul. And like, so Siegfried went and grabbed the sword, the other one. And the second he grabbed it, Siegfried's soul was so damn dark that something unusual happened. Like, the sword transformed him into a monster. A monster later known as Nightmare. Everybody started calling him Nightmare. Because he truly was a nightmare. And after he grabbed the sword, he left. Like, Taki and Sophia tried to stop him, but he left in a hurry. The sword must have known that it was screwed, and he just left the area as soon as he could. And ever since he left, he's just been on a freaking rampage. Like, he kills it because the sword craves souls. Every person it kills, it gets more powerful. So it just started going on a freaking rampage, and he was just killing everyone in his path. And so SOULCALIBUR, he was just on a rampage, and he never gets stopped. Well, sort of. We'll get into that later. I don't know. But eventually, I don't know. Like, there's just so much whatever. We'll get into it later. But Siegfried eventually gets freed of the sword. Eventually, he does not possess it anymore. Like, he gets released from it. And in the second SOULCALIBUR, like, much of the same happened. And but in the third SOULCALIBUR, he was completely freed of the sword, and he sought atonement for his sins. Like, he wanted to personally go out there and destroy Soul Edge, so it would never happen again. And in the third SOULCALIBUR, Siegfried was the hero. After the sword, like, he becomes the hero. And the intro has a lot to do with him, the SOULCALIBUR 3 intro. It has a lot to do with him. Like, he's like walking in the woods alone, and his hand like freaks out now and then, trying to turn into, like, parts of him is still nightmare, and like it haunts him. And that's kind of the reason why he wants to destroy the sword too. He just wants to be released of this curse for good. And that's really generally the story of Siegfried. I believe Siegfried does succeed, and like in the second SOULCALIBUR, I think he succeeds in destroying the sword. Like, you, in the intro, you see him stab the sword in the eye. The sword has an eye. It really is a living being, and like, he stabbed it in the eye and destroyed it, but it wasn't quite the end of it. And we'll get into that later. So that's Siegfried. Thank you for watching.